Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak to you about a very real and powerful force that impacts each one of us in ways we may not always recognize: spiritual attacks on the mind. These attacks are subtle but powerful, seeking to undermine our peace, our purpose, and our potential. It is crucial that we, as individuals who seek to live with clarity, purpose, and peace, recognize the signs of such attacks and understand how to rise above them. There are three key signs of spiritual attack that you must be aware of. One of the most prominent signs of a spiritual attack on your mind is the relentless presence of negative thoughts and self-doubt. It begins as a subtle whisper in the mind, a single moment of insecurity, but over time, if left unchecked, these thoughts grow louder, more pervasive, and more powerful. Initially, it may seem like an occasional concern, perhaps about a decision, a relationship, or a failure. But when these negative thoughts begin to appear frequently, when you start questioning your worth, abilities, and purpose more than you believe in your potential, this is a clear sign that something more than just a passing moment of doubt is at work. These negative thoughts are not always your own. They are often planted by external forces seeking to disrupt your peace and steal your clarity. At first, you may not even notice how they've taken root, but over time they begin to dominate your thinking, clouding your judgment and causing you to view yourself through a distorted lens. These thoughts might whisper things like, "You're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you can't do it," or "You'll never succeed." What begins as a small crack in your confidence can soon become a deep, overwhelming belief that you are incapable of achieving your goals, reaching your potential, or even living in alignment with your true self. This constant barrage of negativity creates a cycle, a feedback loop in your mind. The more you entertain these thoughts, the more they grow in power. What happens next is that your actions begin to reflect these internal doubts. You may procrastinate, avoid opportunities, or sabotage your own efforts because deep down, you no longer believe you are worthy of success. The spiritual attack seeks to anchor you in fear and self-doubt, to keep you locked in a state of perpetual limitation. Every opportunity you have to step forward, to stretch beyond your comfort zone, becomes an obstacle as your mind has become convinced that you are unqualified, unworthy, or incapable. It's important to understand that these thoughts are not the natural expression of your true self. They are intrusive, misleading, and designed to distort the way you see yourself. When you constantly question your worth, you are not embracing the fullness of your potential. The spiritual attack thrives in these moments of self-doubt because they pull you away from your truth and into a state of insecurity, confusion, and fear. When you allow these negative thoughts to persist, you begin to lose sight of your true identity, the unique gifts and talents that you have been given. And this is where the battle begins. The mind, in many ways, is the battlefield, and these persistent negative thoughts are the forces trying to dominate your every action and reaction. The key to overcoming them is not to ignore them or push them aside, but to confront them directly with truth. The truth is that you are valuable, you are capable, and you have within you everything you need to succeed and to live a fulfilled life. Negative thoughts may feel loud, but they are not the final word. When these doubts arise, it is crucial to replace them with a higher truth, the truth of who you are, the truth of your potential, and the truth of your divine purpose. Every time you face negative thoughts and self-doubt, you have an opportunity to take a stand. You have the power to decide whether you will let them shape your life or whether you will rise above them. You must become aware of when these thoughts appear and challenge them. Recognize that they are not the voice of your true self, but rather an attempt to divert you from the path of purpose and growth. And as you begin to identify these thoughts for what they truly are, you can begin to reclaim your mind, your peace, and your power. Another powerful sign of a spiritual attack on your mind is a profound loss of peace, accompanied by an overwhelming sense of restlessness. This feeling is not just a passing moment of unease. It's a persistent and nagging discomfort that seems to follow you wherever you go. It may begin as a slight feeling of unease, something that you can't quite place, but soon it evolves into a full-fledged sense of disquiet. This loss of peace is like a constant storm brewing within your mind, disturbing your thoughts and emotions, leaving you feeling unsettled and unbalanced. The peace that once seemed natural and ever-present becomes elusive, slipping through your fingers no matter how much you try to hold on to it. You may find yourself searching for ways to quiet your mind. Perhaps you try meditation, prayer, or even seeking distractions, but nothing seems to work. This inner restlessness can feel like a constant weight, an invisible burden that wears you down over time. It's as if your mind cannot rest, no matter how much you try to calm it. And it's not just a lack of mental peace. It affects your emotional state as well. The peace that once brought you calm and reassurance is now replaced with uneasiness, doubt, and agitation. This restlessness may show up in many different forms. You may feel like you're constantly moving, always seeking something, yet never finding contentment. There's a constant drive to escape your own thoughts, to find relief from the inner chaos that seems to be stirring deep within you. Perhaps you experience sudden bursts of anxiety or panic, as though there is an underlying threat that you cannot identify but feel deeply. These emotions flood your system, making it harder to think clearly, to make decisions, or even to enjoy the simple moments of life. The very act of trying to relax or unwind may seem impossible as your mind races with worries and your heart remains in a state of turmoil. What makes this experience even more challenging is that the feeling of restlessness can be pervasive. It's not tied to a specific event or circumstance, but rather to a deeper unseen force. The attack on your peace doesn't need an obvious reason. It simply exists to disturb, disrupt, and disorient you. The longer you allow it to remain unaddressed, the more entrenched this feeling of restlessness becomes. You may begin to question your own state of mind, wondering if this restlessness is a reflection of your own inadequacy, or if something external is at play, influencing your inner peace. This loss of peace is not just a minor inconvenience. It is a deliberate attempt to disturb your spiritual and emotional well-being. When your mind is restless, it becomes more difficult to hear your inner voice, to connect with your purpose, and to be in alignment with the peace that is your birthright. The more your peace is disturbed, the harder it becomes to discern what is truly important in your life, leading you further away from clarity and closer to confusion. Furthermore, when peace is lost, the foundation of your emotional and mental health begins to erode. Without peace, you may begin to make decisions out of fear or anxiety rather than from a place of calm and discernment. You may find yourself reacting impulsively, being overly emotional, or being easily triggered by external events. This vulnerability allows the forces behind the spiritual attack to gain further influence over your mind. Restlessness becomes a gateway for deeper agitation, causing you to spiral further into a state of unease. You may even start to question your own worth or feel disconnected from the very things that once brought you joy and fulfillment. Relationships, work, and even simple daily activities may no longer feel as meaningful because the peace that once made them rich and fulfilling is no longer present. It can feel as though your whole world is in disarray, and you are simply unable to find the stillness and clarity you desperately crave. This loss of peace, this restlessness, is a powerful sign of spiritual attack because it keeps you in a state of flux, never allowing you to center yourself, to reflect, or to act from a place of grounded wisdom. The external distractions may seem endless, but the battle is within. It's a war for your peace, your calm, and your ability to connect to your higher self. A third critical sign of a spiritual attack on your mind is a sudden or gradual disconnection from your purpose and vision. Purpose is the anchor of our lives. It provides direction, motivation, and meaning. Vision is what pulls us forward, keeps us focused on the future, and empowers us to pursue our dreams, even when challenges arise. However, when a spiritual attack is at work, it can cloud our sense of purpose, making us question not only what we are doing, but why we are doing it. The sense of clarity and drive that once defined us begins to fade, and what once seemed like a clearly charted path suddenly becomes obscured by doubt, confusion, and a sense of aimlessness. In the early stages of this disconnection, it may not seem like a major shift. You might start to feel a slight shift in your priorities, a sense that the goals you once held dear no longer hold the same significance. Perhaps the passion you once had for a project, a career, or a relationship begins to wane, and you're left wondering why you no longer feel the same drive or excitement. These subtle shifts can grow over time, though, and before you know it, you are questioning the very reason for your existence, your purpose in life, and the path you have been walking. It is as if a veil has descended over your mind, clouding your clarity and casting doubt over everything that once seemed so certain. Your sense of vision, which once guided you like a lighthouse in the distance, now feels distant and unreachable. Goals that once motivated you now feel burdensome, and the future you once looked forward to feels uncertain and intimidating.